Hey everyone, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and we're going to do some Titanic. I know basically I've been kind of going back and forth with Titanic and Constitution, but in any case, this video I'd do a float test, do a little bit more work with the rudders, and start drilling some portholes. So that's where we're at in this one, and the next video for sure will be the motors going in and all that good stuff. Got a little bit delayed on that, so I apologize, but I figure this series is probably going to be a lot of videos anyway, so what's one more? But anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching, and let's get started. Okay, so here we go on the next step of sealing up the prop wings. So this is kind of a continuation of episode 1. Again, we're going to be using our JB Weld Marine, and I'm going to mix that up right now. I'll show one side on the video, and then the other side I'll just do off video, because obviously it will be the exact same thing. But what I'd like to get done in this episode is obviously sealing these up. We'll let it sit for the night, and then we will do a float test on it. I will also get the rudder drilled out and ready basically to be installed, and show you what we're doing with that. And I'll be honest, I am pretty similarly going to be copying Model Boat Guy in his method for that, with drilling it out and running the tubing down. So definitely not an original idea, but he has done his in a way that will work, and I like it. So I am going to follow suit and do the exact same thing. So can't take credit for it, but I will be copying it. I am going to go with the brass rudder though, so that will be a difference there. And this part here is basically all about just making sure that it gets sealed to the ship. I'll then sand it down after I know that we are not taking in any water. But I'm trying to be as close to the edges as possible, so I don't damage any of the detail, both on the hull or the prop wing. Everything seemed to have dried up, or sealed up, whatever you want to call it, very well between this video and the last one, so pretty happy with the results on it so far. And one thing I will point out, I was talking to Gene today after video 1 came out, and again mentioned how nice these fit, these prop wings. So that was one of the things that he said that they really had worked on, was getting them to be a pretty much perfect fit. So great job to that team in what they do and trying to constantly improve the products. So I appreciate it, definitely. And like I said, I definitely would highly recommend these to anyone else. Having them hollow, I think, also made a real nice ability to get the prop shafts, or not prop shafts, but prop tubes in without issue. So we're just going to get this sealed in, and then I'll let the tape set up for a little while before I peel it off. All right, almost done. Okay, so once I get this done, like I said, I'll pause it, I'll do the other side, and then we'll come back and do the rudder drilling. So I kind of showed that in video 1, what it looks like. We'll need to drill the top hole out for where the turning, not the turning mechanism, but where the upper half of the rudder goes up to attach to the servo. All right, let me just clean this up. And the rest I'll basically just sand once it's cured up. So there we go. Be back in a bit. Okay, so I got the rudder drilled partially. I had to order some new bits, so I at least have it to a point right now where I can do some testing. But I need to order bits in order to come all the way up through here. So the ones I had weren't long enough, but I got 3 of them connected, so that will be enough for a little bit of testing. Now, in the meantime, I have the B&B props and drops, so they're right here. And I went to see what size threading I need to go from the shaft that these come with, which obviously you can see the difference in the detail. These are fantastically detailed, and these are, I mean, they'd get you by. But anyway, I went to see the threading that I'm going to need for these, and unfortunately I don't have the tap, so I had to order it. So for testing purposes, or at least until we get the tap in, I'm going to have to go with the kit supplied ones just to test it. So putting the props in, pretty easy. All we got to do is slide our prop shaft in, and when you come out the other end, you basically have the threaded area there. So then it's just a matter of screwing it on, and basically just getting them on there. Now when I do the finals, I'll end up hitting it with some Loctite and something like that, basically just to kind of hold it on better. But for testing purposes, once we get this motor going, it will be perfectly fine with what I'm doing right now. So this will put the props on, and then tomorrow when we start going at the motor setup, we'll be connecting the prop shafts to the motor with the couplers supplied by the kit. I did change the motors out from what were provided. I went with something just a little bit better, but we'll go over them tomorrow when that time comes. So anyway, our next step is going to be just a quick float test, because all of the JB weld is pretty well hardened up, and we should be ready to go. So I'm going to pause it and we'll go up to check out the bathtub. Okay, so this is our lake that we're going to be doing our float test on. Pretty much everything's sealed up and ready to go. So here is our ship. And I know I'm not going to have enough weight in it, so I'm going to kind of have to do it by hand. I could fill it with rocks, but I think we'll be okay. So essentially, you can see where the props are right now. It obviously needs to come down about, I don't know, 2 inches. So we're just going to kind of weight it down Might put some rocks in it here over the next few minutes, but I'm going to just kind of let it sit in here for about a half hour and see where we go. But so far, I'm not seeing anything, so that is good. And prop shafts all pretty much look like they're going to be straight and okay. But yeah, we're not getting anything at all in here right now. So that is a very good sign. Now, I'm going to load it with some rocks and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so we're in probably about a half hour at this point. That is a pretty heavy rock there too, and the only water I'm really getting in was from when I put the rock in, right up at the front there you can see, and I am getting a little bit through the oil holes. I should have plugged them, so you can see a little bit down here, but that is just from them. I'm not getting anything in any of our seals that we made, so I would say all in all, pretty successful float test, and I am well below with the weighting in there where the water line would be, kind of intentionally. I just wanted to get it lower and kind of see how far it could go without having an issue. So all in all, I feel pretty good. I know this rock is quite heavy. I haven't weighed it, but I'm gonna say it's a good probably 10 pounds. Maybe 8, but somewhere in that neighborhood. So anyway, I'm gonna say successful float test, and now it's time to move on to drilling our portholes. Be back soon. Okay, so after a successful float test, we are back up at the shop now, and this is the drill I'm going to be using. Now there are 3 different sized portholes that run along the hull. You have bigger ones up on the top area here, and then you have smaller ones down in here. These are all poop holes, so we're not going to be drilling them out because I don't want them lit up. But what I'm doing, I'm using, this is a 0.8 millimeter drill bit, and basically just running it in. I am stopping and starting each time with this particular bit. When I get up to the larger holes here, in the previous video, part 1, I showed these this little set that I got of cut pieces of tubing, and I found a couple that fit perfect in here that are going to be my centering tool. So I'm going to drill it out exactly to this size and basically make a jig for it. Actually, it's not that one, but when I get the correct size lined up, I'll make a jig for it, and then that is how I'm going to be drilling them out. Very cost effective. I know they do make a jig set, but actually I couldn't find one at this point anymore. I don't know if they're still in production or not. So I found a solution that I think will work for me, and I'm okay with it. I've drilled probably about 1 million portholes before in ships, and I've never really had any problems. So I do know I have to countersink some of the back ones up here, and also this whole run through here on the upper area is all going to get sanded down because that's going to be the mini brass. So those holes are all going to get quite a bit elongated. So my concern isn't really this run, it's all of this and down. So I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me drill 1,000 holes, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing, and it should work out quite well. So I shall return after we get more of these holes drilled. Okay, so as been discussed, I believe, by both Model Boat Guy and Ben at Midwest Model Shop, these holes are elongated. Now, I will be using the mini brass hull plating, stern plating for back here, so I'm not sure how much of this I actually do need to cover in, but I am going to go ahead and do it. Basically, just to cover the holes in. So they're elongated from the molding process, and I mean, Ben in his videos did a pretty good job of explaining that, so I'm not going to go back through all that. But they are definitely a noticeable factor that needs to be dealt with when you're doing this. And it's not all of them, just really the back ones here. So I'm not that worried about losing much of the hull detail, because like I said, it's going to have the plates over it anyhow, and they do extend up to here. So I'm 99.9% sure this will be covered, but I'm just doing it for good measure, and then I'll sand it back down smooth, and we'll move on from there. But just showing basically what I'm doing. I'm just using Tamiya wood, white putty, and I'll hit that with probably some 600 grit sandpaper, and that should do. I also know I'm going to refer back to the Trumpeter Titanic 1200 Facebook page. I know they have the portholes up towards the bow that are in the wrong location. So I'm going to make a decision whether I'm going to go after all of that or not. I'm not really that big of a rivet counter, but you know, if I can make it correct or more correct, obviously I'd rather do that. So we'll check that out, and we'll be back after I make that decision. I do have now pretty much all of the portholes cut up to about where this would be about where the second funnel is. So up on the front half of the ship is more so, I believe, where the hole markings, or not the hole markings, but the windows portholes are in the wrong location. So I will double check that, and we will be back. Okay, so in the last video, I didn't really show this that well, but I'm doing essentially the same thing that Model Boat Guy did, the Model Boat Guy. And I have the plastic here for the rudder. I have the brass tubing there, and then the metal wire slides into that, and that's basically kind of like making a bearing along the plastic here. So how I'm doing this, and this has been a real pain, there's not a better way to say it, is what I'm finding my best way to do has been to either come in at the top or come in at the bottom. For this one, I think I'm going to come in on the top. Yep, there we go. Slide down. Then I am folding it over with the tweezer. And then at the top here. And then I take my flush cutters and just cut it right down on here. I want there to be enough there to kind of hold the hinge, but not be real visible. So there we go. And I have one, two, three, four, and this will be a fifth one. This one here, I was unable to get the drill to go back through again. So unfortunately, I'm only going to have 4 points that are actually holding it, but it feels pretty secure, and I'm okay with it. I think we'll be okay. It's not going to have a ton of force, because that servo will just be basically turning like that. So there's no reason that this shouldn't hold. I feel pretty good with it, honestly. So anyway, I just wanted to show that because it was not real clear in the first video. But I planned on tapping and or drilling and tapping these. Unfortunately, the tap I got was not the right size, so I'm going to be waiting on that again. So I guess these are going to end up being in video 3. But anyway, between this video and the next video, I'm going to work on getting this all sanded out. There's some doors I have to remove, a lot more drilling of holes to do. I'll do that all off camera, because once you kind of get the idea for the drilling, it's not really anything too exciting, obviously, to watch. I was going to show these, but I'm not ready for that yet, after all, because I want to do some research on the whole mini brass part and what I'm doing with all of the plating and the hull plates. So I'm going to hold on that, but I think I'm going to end this video for right now, and yeah, we'll continue moving forward. Like I said, the next video should have the motors get installed and all that good stuff. Now that I know the float test is okay, and feel pretty confident with that, so we'll get them moving, and like I said, I'll get the rest of the portholes pretty well drilled out. I don't want to have all the plastic all over the place once I get it to the point that we're ready. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for comments. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do, and we'll continue this build as we go.